Hey, this is Keith at Half Tracks and Honeybees. Hope y'all are doing well today. Well, you can see from these skies that it's a beautiful day. It's about 70 degrees. The bees are flying. We got some goldenrod that's starting to bloom here. I'm sure it's blooming more in other places. You can see the kind of a gold tint it's getting in the top of it because it's fixing to bloom. But what we're going to do today is something different. The bees are fine, they don't need messing with. Bertha's fine, got her cleaned up, got her ready for the Harvest Festival coming up in September. But our old 94 BMW 325 needs a little work. So that's what we're going to do today. Here we go, we'll talk about it. Now over there's Bertha, and y'all are used to seeing Granny sitting right here. Well, I put Granny down at the house and brought the BMW up here because it might take me a couple of days to do what I need to do because I've never done it before, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, this is, it's been on some other shorts I've done. My B-Mobile, our 94 BMW 325. We bought it new in 1994 for my wife's birthday. So it was purchased around June of 94. And we've had it for, what is that, 31 years? Got the Cool Daddy, North Carolina, Save the Honeybees license plate. But she's been a great old car. Got about 350,000 miles on it now. She's a little rough around the edges, but with that many miles, what do you expect? But today, we're going to work on what's called the VANOS unit. Well, the VANOS unit, it's back behind here. Now what that is a variable timing for the intake cam, so you can get good economy and good performance. It uses an electrical signal to activate it and oil pressure to work it, and it's wore out and making a terrible noise. We got to pull off the engine cover. Then underneath that, we've got to pull off the coils and the spark plugs. We'll have to take the shroud around the fan. We got to pull the fan off. Probably got to move this little expansion tank out of the way. Then we got to pull the valve cover. And then we got to pull the VANOS unit. But in the meanwhile, we've got to make sure we got the engine in the right position. We got to lock the cams down. We got to stick a stop in the flywheel so the engine can't turn. So we got lots of cool stuff to do. So here we go. Okay, well, we got the shroud and the fan out of the way. We got the engine covers off. Now we got to unplug all the coils and pull the coils out so we can get to the spark plugs, but we can leave them in for now. And then we got to take all the bolts out to get the valve cover off. Piece of cake. Okay, got all the coils out, got the wiring harness popped loose, vacuumed out all the loose paint. I'll have to do some sanding and wire brushing and painting before we put this thing back together. But 350,000 miles, what do you expect? Now comes the bolts holding the valve cover. Here we go. Okay, well, we got the valve cover off. And you can see here our twin overhead cams. The top cam is of course the intake cam because it's close to the intake. And the bottom cam is the exhaust because it's close to the exhaust. And if y'all don't know what a cam is, a cam's got these little lobes on it. And that's what opens and closes, well really opens, springs close it, but that's what opens the valves. So everything has to be in time so the valves don't hit the pistons and cause all kinds of bad things. So we don't want that. So we'll pay real close attention to how the timing is. Up here you can see the timing chains. You got the one running up from the crank that runs the whole shebang. Then you got the one here on top that runs over here to the VANOS unit. This is the little gizmo that we're going to rebuild. It's got a little solenoid back here on the back side. I told you a solenoid operated it. but then an oil pressure does the work. So there's the oil line coming into it. So we've got to get everything at top dead center so we know where our timing is. And then we'll take and loosen this sprocket. We'll take our bolts out on this cover, and then we'll turn this gear after we loosen these little bolts. And this thing is, the VANOS unit's got a spiral gear on it, so as we turn this whole thing will kind of back out. That's the way it's supposed to work. Now also, while we're in here, when I get this out of the way, the thermostat's been stuck open on this thing for quite a while. But it's kind of buried up here under the VANOS unit, so I didn't want to mess with it. But now that we got all this stuff out of the way, it's a great time to change the thermostat. So we're going to be doing that too. So, piece of cake, right? Pretty cool. The engine's a lot cleaner on the inside than it is on the outside. That's a good thing. Okay, so we've got our cam locking tool in place. You can see on the end of each cam there's a squared off place that this metal bracket slides down on. And then when it's flush with the rear of the head, you're at 0, top dead center. Then you lock those nuts down and you can't move. So we got that done. And look, the VANOS unit is missing. Where did it go? It went over here. Now we got to tear it down and rebuild it. This is the VANOS unit. It's a little dirty, got to clean it up. There's where the solenoid works. That changes the oil flow that's coming in on this fitting here, and it pushes this little gizmo in and out. And that's the problem. See that play right there? That's what's causing our troubles. So we got to take this off and rebuild it. That's what we're going to do now. Ain't this fun? Now here's the inside of the VANOS. This is the part that does the work. You can see that seal around the outside. I've got to unscrew this plate to get to the bearings and get to the little wear collar. You can kind of see how it works. That gear there's got a bit of a spiral on it. So as this thing moves in and out, it can actually retard or advance the cam and change the timing. So there we go. It moves in and out, and with that spiral there, it can change the timing of the cam. Well, here's the inside of the VANOS. This is the part I got to rebuild. I'll take that nut off the back and replace a couple of bearings and a sleeve. But you can see how the oil pressure moves this thing in and out. And with that angle on the teeth, when it moves in, you can see that that's going to move the gear that it's meshed into, and that changes the timing of the intake cam. How cool is that? But like I said, I'm going to pull this nut off. Not really a nut, that whole thing is one piece. Got a couple of bearings and a sleeve in there. I'll show you what's in there when we get into it. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so here's all the parts inside the VANOS. Got some of these little bearings. And one on the other side. Then you got this collar that fits down in here that everything runs on. These washers fit inside of it. And that's the part that's worn. So, if you look at our little rebuild kit, we got some bearings and washers Those are some copper washers for that oil line that we took off going to the VANOS. Then you got the two sealing rings, or the O-rings, that go around the outside of that part. There's two rings, there's an inner and an outer. The outer's hard, the inner's soft, and that's what seals against the housing. And the housing is over there in the parts washer soaking, getting nice and clean. So how cool is that? Now this is the little plunger that goes in the housing. The solenoid pushes on the end of that, and then that controls the oil flow to make this little thing go in and out. Amazing stuff. Okay. Well, we got the VANOS assembly back on, and we got the cam block took off the back, and we rotated the engine, and everything is timed up nicely. So we're good there. Got the spark plugs back in. I got to put the valve cover on now. Y'all know it was pretty rough looking. So we got it all painted up. And while we were in here, we also replaced the two serpentine belts and the thermostat, because all of it was just right here, easy to get to, and a good time to do it. So now we've got to put the little gaskets back on around the spark plug holes. We got to put the valve cover gasket on, or the cam cover, excuse me. Get all the little grommets in place to tighten it down. And notice when we took it apart, these first two holes had a lot of oil in them. So when I took the spark plugs out, a lot of that oil went down in the cylinders. That was because these gaskets that go on here were leaking a little bit. So before we crank her up for the first time, I'll probably let her roll out of the garage, because it's going to smoke a bit when we crank it. But that should clear up pretty quick. So that's kind of where we're at. Nice little project. Okay, well, we got the cam cover back on. Putting the coils in now. And the coils look like this, with the tube to reach down in there where the spark plug is. Remember the, get a flashlight here. Remember the spark plugs are down in a hole. So back in '94, this was kind of cool, having a coil for every cylinder, but I think pretty much every car does that now. So no big deal anymore. Then these little plugs just plug right back in like that, and the little clip goes down, and that's what it looks like. So let me finish buttoning this up, get all the wires pretty. We're getting there. Okay, got the coils back on, got the wires ran, got the covers on the engine. They're just for cosmetic purposes, keep some dirt out of that coil area. But now we'll get on to some of the fiddly bits. I got to get this cowl put back in the fan, and all that kind of goes in together. And then the fan screws on that stud right there, screws on backwards. It's a left-handed thread. So, and this hose over here has got to run through the bottom of the cowl over to the tank. So let's see if we can get that done. Oh boy, not far from starting this little beastie up. Okay, starting to sprinkle a little bit, but it's time for the big moment. I let her roll out of the garage because, like I said, she's going to smoke a little bit, because we had those seals leaking around the spark plugs, and it let some oil go down in the cylinders. So hopefully we fixed that while we were in there too. So let's see if she'll fire up. What do you think? I put a cover over the seat because I'm nasty. If she cranks, I might go ahead and turn her around and point her the other way. So, oops, gotta hook the battery up. Okay, I'm back. Had to hook up the battery. Ready? Yeah, she's gonna run a little bit rough. Got some oil in the cylinders. Wow, it sounds pretty good, don't it? Quiet as a mouse. That sounds pretty good. Well, I need to do a few things, so I'm going to have to put the phone down for a little bit. So I'll be right back. Well, just got back from a test drive and everything looks really good. So I guess that was a success. We'll park her and let her set and see if we have any drips overnight, anything we need to look into. But the noise is gone, runs good, lots of power. So yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. Got a little dirty in the process, but this is actually how I normally look most of the time when I'm not messing with bees. My wife's used to greasy fingernails and greasy knuckles. I was a grease monkey when she married me. I guess I'll always be one. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that different kind of video. I enjoyed it. I love working on old cars. It works a different part of my brain than most things do. I like using hands and pulling tools. So I grew up in my dad's grease pit at the service station. So I feel at home in a bucket of grease. So anyway, hope you enjoyed that. If you did, click the like button, subscribe to my channel if you like my different stuff. So and make sure you always take time to enjoy the buzz. Y'all take care.